Okay, Mr. Burton's class is a little young still. They're in fourth grade and they're struggling to be able to draw their rays and their angles so that Mr. Burton can understand what they are trying to do. So he also would like to incorporate technology into his classroom. So we found this site called Measuring Angles that will help the students to learn how to measure angles even if they still have insufficient drawing skills. So you simply go to this website, mathplayground.com/measuringangles.html, start button, and here you'll get instructions. It says, practice lining up and reading a protractor while you measure a set of angles in this fun learning activity. The angles may range from 0 degrees to 180 degrees. The interactive protractor is already lined up with the vertex of each angle, but you will have to rotate the protractor into proper position. The margin of error is only 1 degree, and you must report measurement to the nearest whole number. So here, the students actually don't have to worry about lining up the vertex and drawing the angles themselves. They're already here. All they have to worry about is actually learning how to use a protractor and lining the protractor up correctly. So here you can easily see the red angle there. And you just take this protractor and you line the 0 up with the red line on the angle as best you can, as accurately as possible. Oops. There we go. And then now that's lined up with the 0 here. Now I look at this red angle here so that I can see, alright, well, I know it's an obtuse angle. It's larger than 90 degrees, which would be right here. So I'm going to follow this red line out to the bottom number, and it looks to be just a little bit less than 150 degrees, so I'm going to say 149 degrees. And I know that it's more than the 31 degrees here because it is an obtuse angle. So I'm going to check that, and my measurement was correct. It tells me, excellent, that I measured that angle very accurately. So I'm going to go on to the next question. Now I can see here by the distance between these two reds that it's clearly an acute angle. So I'm going to go ahead and rotate this to match that 0 line as best as I can. And then I'm going to look at here, and I'm going to look at this number this time because I know that it's an acute angle, so I want to go for the smaller number. And it looks to be right at 10 degrees. So I'm going to check that. And it was. I had a 0 margin of error. Alright, this is going to be a little bit sideways. I can definitely tell it's an obtuse angle. It looks like it's almost 180 degrees. So I'm going to line this up there. You can see here. And now I'll follow this red line out. And again, it's going to be almost 180 degrees because of the obtuse angle. So I'm going to go for this bottom number here. And it appears that it's about 168 degrees, 167 degrees. I'm going to go ahead and put 167. It's a little hard to read upside down and check it, and it was 167. I'm going to go on to the next one. Again, this is going to be a difficult one. Clearly an obtuse angle. It's way bigger than 90 degrees. Now that that's lined up, follow this out, and this appears to be, see, here's 180, about 175 even. So I'm going to put that in and check it, and that was correct too. Okay, now let's see what happens if we don't get the correct answer. So if I rotate this, and let's say I see that this is acute, but I read the wrong number anyway, and I say it's 121 degrees instead of the actual 61. What will it tell me? It will tell me that the correct measurement was 59 degrees. 59, excuse me. And that my margin of error was 62 degrees. And then it tells me, oh no, that's not the correct angle. So I can go ahead and go on and rotate this now. Clearly an acute angle again. Okay, so we're looking at about 43 degrees. Check it, and that's correct. Rotate again. You can also rotate it the other way. You can line it up on either side and it's going to measure it the same. So if I wanted to rotate it and line it up over here, that's fine too. Then I can follow this out, and it's going to not quite be an, let's see, it's going to be 102 degree angle. Let's check that, and that was correct, and we'll go on to question 9. Okay, that's lined up. It looks to be, let's see, here's 20 and here's 30, about a 26 degree angle. Put that in there and check that. Oh, it was 25 degrees, so I was off by 1 degree, but that's okay because it told me that I could be off by 1 degree. So it still says, excellent, you measured that angle very accurately. And I go on to my question 10. Line up again. And measure the angle. It's clearly acute here. It's less than 90 degrees. So it appears to be about 67 degrees. And we want to check that, and that was correct. And then it tells me that I got 9 out of 10 correct, and I hit that restart button, which allows me to restart again. So that just gives you more and more practice on measuring angles. And if you're feeling confident on that, you can turn over to this page, which it also helps you with angles, and actually this would be one that you would probably want to do before measuring the angles so that the students understand the difference between acute, obtuse, and right. So if I go to play the game here, I want to choose how many players. Now I can select up to 3 players, but since it's just me, I'm going to go ahead and click 1, and then I'm going to click ready. And it gives me some instructions. It says, help robot guy by guiding him with the arrow keys on your keyboard and shooting the correct answer with your space bar. So I'm going to go ahead and hit begin. Now I'm using my arrow keys to move him, and I'm going to use the space bar to shoot. And it says, are the 2 angles congruent? I can clearly see that these angles are not the same, because congruent means the same. So I'm going to shoot at the no, and it tells me that that is correct. And it goes on to the next question. Which of these measurements is an acute angle? Number in degrees. Well, I know that a right angle is 90 degrees, and obtuse is above 90, so this one is going to be my acute angle. Okay, which of these measurements is an acute angle? Again, it asks me that. This one's a little more difficult because these 2 numbers are so close. But if it's above 90, it's obtuse. If it's below, it's acute. Are the 2 angles congruent? Well, they do appear to be congruent, but let's say that I don't think they are, and I shoot at the no. Oh, it tells me, it says, sorry, nice try, but I got it wrong. It does not give me another chance, however. And then it says, is this angle acute, obtuse, or right? Well, it looks to be more than a right degree angle to me, so it's obtuse. Are the 2 angles congruent? They are not the same size, so I don't know that we can measure them. I'm going to go ahead and say, no, and that is correct. Are the 2 angles congruent? They do appear to be, so yes. Is this angle acute, obtuse, or right? It is clearly less than 90 degrees. It's acute. And finally, is this angle acute, obtuse, or right? It's also less than a 90 degree angle, so it's going to be acute. Are the 2 angles congruent? Yes, they appear to be congruent. There's only 10 questions, so it says that I answered 9 out of 10 correctly. And if I want to, I can play again. If not, there are also some more games on the menu list, but none of them have to do with angles. So if the student didn't get a lot of the questions right or doesn't feel quite comfortable, they can go back through and retry this. And this will just really help the students who are struggling with their writing skills. When they struggle to actually make the angles themselves, it can be even harder to measure the angles. But if you take out the actual drawing factor, take that pressure out of there, and just let the kids use technology to be able to learn about angles can make a big difference. And that was Mr. Burton's goal. He wanted his students to be able to use technology so that they didn't have to use the chalkboard and all sorts of writing utensils. His goal was to integrate technology into this lesson to make it easier for the students. And I think these two types of games definitely make it easier for the students.